Okay, Oak Rovers, this is going to be a video that's going to help you with today's homework assignment. The first page, 71, you have problems that look like the first two, and they're addition problems. And you're only going to be working on the first 3 pages of this packet. If you get those done, you can try the fourth page, but we're not going to do the fourth page of this packet today. We'll be working on that tomorrow also. So the very first problem, I have x plus 30 is equal to 1. And when I solve these problems, what I want to do is I want to create a 0 on the side of the equation where my variable or x is. In this case, my variable is x. So I want to create a 0. So I have x and positive 30. So I'm going to have to create a 0 with that positive 30. What plus positive 30 makes 0? A negative 30. I've created a 0, but now my equation is unbalanced. So what I have to do now is do the exact same thing to the other side. So I'm going to add a negative 30 to that side also. Now when I do this, I have positive 30 and negative 30. That makes 0. So I just have x on the left side. And on the right side, I have 1 and negative 30. Well, I'll take one of the negatives off with the positive because that's a 0. And I'm going to be left with 29 negatives left, so it's going to be negative 29. So your answer for the first problem is negative 29. Now when you do these problems, you need to show the work just like I'm showing it today in this thing. If you don't show it exactly the way I'm showing it, it's worthless, and I'm not going to even count it. So you need to show your work exactly like this, even if you can figure out these problems in your head. So you need to show the work. Make sure you show all the steps for this work. The next problem, I always draw this line down here, and the reason I do that is that reminds me whatever I do on one side of the equation, I've got to do to the other side of the equation. And it helps me keep it organized also. So I have negative 15 plus t is equal to negative 9. So I've got to create a 0 on this side of the equation with this, where the variable is. And in this case, my variable is t. So I've got to get rid of that negative 15 or create a 0 with it. What plus negative 15 makes 0? It's going to be a positive 15. But if I have a positive 15 to one side, I've got to do the exact same thing to the other side, so I put a positive 15 there. Negative 15 and positive 15 make 0, so I'm just left with a t on the left-hand side of the equation. And negative 9 and positive 15, they work against each other. There's more positives than negatives, so my answer is going to be positive 6. Okay, again, you have to show the exact same work. And notice how I try and put the negative or the positive 15 right underneath that 15 so I can make that 0 really nice and easily. Okay? Next problem. This is going to be like on page 72 of your homework today. And you can stop this anytime and go back and make sure you understand how to do these problems. This one I have negative 4 on the left side of the equation, and my variable's on the right side. I have negative 4 is equal to v minus a negative. Well, when I minus a negative, that's the same thing as adding. And I can add the opposite just to show you that. So if I add the opposite, I have v plus 31. Now I've got to create a 0 with that positive 31. What do I have to add to positive 31 to create a 0? It's going to be negative 31. But whatever I do to one side, I've got to do to the other side. So now I have positive and negative 31. That's just going to make 0. So I'm just left with v on the one side. On the other side, I have negative 4 and negative 31. Well, they're both negatives, so I'm just combining them. So I have a total of negative 35. Okay? And again, it's important that you show your work this way because we're going to be doing some problems that are a little bit more tricky coming up. Not necessarily today or tomorrow, but later on this week and next week for sure. The next one I'm going to think of that as x minus 11 is equal to 4. So my variable's on the left side. Now, minus 11, or subtracting 11, is the same thing as a negative 11. So I have to get rid of that negative 11 because the sign in front of this 11 is negative. How do I create a 0 with negative 11? By adding a positive 11. So add 11 to both sides. Oops, too many lines there. And now when I add these up, 4 and 11 is 15. Negative 11 and positive 11 makes 0, and I get x is equal to 15. Okay? So it's going pretty well. And those are all the adding and subtracting type problems. But when you get to the third page of your homework, you're going to actually have multiplying problems. And you got to think, what is the opposite of multiplying, or how do I undo multiplying? And the answer to that is by dividing. So if I multiply x by -7, the opposite, or to undo multiplying by -7, is to divide by -7. So what I'm going to do for this type of problem, I want to undo multiplying x by -7. I'm going to divide by -7. But if I divide that side by -7, I need to divide that other side by -7 also. Now, -7 divided by -7 is just going to be 1. So I'm just left with x on the left side. And on the right side, 49 divided by -7, well, 49 divided by 7 is 7. And a positive divided by a negative is negative. So my answer for this one is -7. Okay, we'll do a couple more here. This is also on page 43, this problem. The next one is -3p is equal to -39. So I've got to undo multiplying by -3 because I'm multiplying p by -3. What's the opposite of multiplying by -3? Dividing by -3. So I divide that side by -3, and then I also have to divide the other side by -3 to keep it balanced. If I just divide one side by -3, the equation becomes unbalanced. So -3 divided by -3 is just 1, so I'm just left with 1p, and I write that as just with p. And on the other side I have -39 divided by -3. Well, 3 goes into 30 10 times, and it goes into 9 3 more times, so it's going to be 13. And it's going to be positive 13 because a negative divided by a negative is positive. So that one is p is equal to 13. Again, you need to show your work exactly the way I'm showing it here, like this. If you're not showing your work this way, you're making a mistake, and it's just not worth anything. Last problem on this page of the video, and then I'll have you guys work on your own. X divided by 6 is equal to 5. Now I'm dividing x by 6. And you got to think, what's the opposite of dividing by 6? Well, the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So the opposite of dividing by 6 is going to be multiplying by 6. So I'll multiply both sides by 6. And I'm going to show it like that. Just multiply by 6, multiply by 6. On the left side I have a 6 in the numerator and a 6 in the denominator. They're going to kind of cancel each other out. And I'm just left with x on the left side. On the right side, 5 times 6 is 30. And that's going to be your answer for that problem. This is on page 44, the last page of your homework. If you want to try some of these, you're welcome to try some of them. But you don't have to go on to this page. I want you to have the first 3 pages done by tomorrow, because we're going to talk about them tomorrow in class. Hopefully this video helped you, and hopefully you can get started on your homework now. Like I said, I want you to work alone, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.